Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining Tim Talks today. We are extremely encouraged by the response, the people reaching out via email and text about the last several talks that we have done, but really wanted to jump in here today to truly serve you, our dealer partners. Let me just set the tone in the beginning. We do not claim, or we do not take the stance that we are the COVID-19 gurus by any stretch of the imagination. We are taking the stance that we are going to do whatever we can do together, because listen, we really believe that no one is smarter than everyone. No one is smarter than everyone. And if we come together and we are humble and we try to figure this out together, we are going to figure it out. Today, I'm going to be joined by Sarah Fisher. Sarah Fisher is the CMO of the Don Franklin Auto Group, the largest dealer group in Kentucky. And what we want to do today is we want to give you a step-by-step plan, and actual, not just what we think, but what is actually working right now in this environment. We also know that depending on the state, the laws of your local governments differ on what you can and cannot do. So we're going to unpack that as well. But listen, I want to start off by giving you a little encouragement today. There is hope. And we want to provide encouragement. We want to provide hope today because we will get through this. You know, someone once said, and I tell myself this, especially now on a daily basis, leaders are not measured by what they do, but by what people do because of them. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody on this phone call, no matter what your business card says, you are a leader. There are salespeople probably that look at you for leadership. Some of you I know, because I've had the conversations, have made very difficult decisions. The decisions that you make affect the lives of many. So we want to provide hope today. We want to encourage you today that this is not the end. In fact, we just received a call from a dealer in New York, of all places. As we have mobilized our team, our salespeople are out and they are communicating with our dealers, offering them things that we're about to show you on this podcast. And one dealer principal said, and I quote, "Michelle, we just took 2 deposits today online with your tool. Thank you so much. We need you now more than ever." And literally said, #we need you. Now, this is not a car now thing. This is an everybody thing. We're going to talk to you today about what you can do about the necessary steps that you need to take with a plan to get through this. And we will get through this together. There is Sarah's face on the screen in my ugly mug. Again, Sarah's going to be joining us a little later as we talk about targeting, as we talk about marketing. And as always, at the end, we will get better together. So I want to show real stats. Some of this is not very encouraging, but I'm going to flip it and tell you why this number is encouraging. So this is from our friends at Lot Links. And this is, as you can see, from March 1st to the 29th. And from March 1st to the 29th, you're going to notice that shopper engagement, this green line here, is actually up 12.1%. This means that customers are actually engaging with your CTAs, engaging with your VDPs, engaging with your tools in your website even more than they were before. This also shows, and we looked at this, Holly Ann and I, our marketing director, looked at this several days ago, and the sales volume was at 35% then, and it's now down 47.5%. You may say, Tim, well, thanks for just starting us off on a great note. That's encouraging. Obviously, we're down, but let me tell you why this is positive. I also heard that J.D. Power this year was quoting the SAR earlier this year was supposed to be 16.5, give or take a little, million cars. They are now retargeting that number from 13.5 to 14.3, 14.2, somewhere around there. I want to encourage you. The encouragement is that be with this slowdown that happened last month, and I believe is going to happen in April. With that massive slowdown, there is going to be built up inventory. With the incentives that OEMs are offering now, when we come through this, we are going to be busier than ever. And that's why calls like this are so important, because we need to prepare ourselves and really dial in our process on taking care of our customers online, because when this turns, we are going to all be better for it. This happens to be just our digital retailing tool and one particular OEM. The positive thing here is we are up in leads 6.4%. 6.4% we are up month over month with these leads. That is encouraging. We are up on lease deals. We are up on total vehicles looked at, so on and so forth. Let me pause right here and make a pretty bold statement. Whether it is our Buy Now tool, which is our digital retailing tool, or any other digital retailing tool, a digital retailing tool by itself put on any dealership will only be a lead generator. Ladies and gentlemen, especially now, you do not need more leads. We need to take better care of the leads that are so precious to us coming in now. And if we differentiate ourselves in that process, they will come into our store. A conversation with a digital retailing environment is just a calculator unless you can have a conversation. And we're going to show you, more importantly than just throwing a calculator, digital retailing, ladies and gentlemen, is not the field of dreams. If you build it, they will just come. You know, I know there's a lot of panic. I know people are rushing to buy digital retailing products there now, but you've got to be in or it's not going to work. You're just going to have another lead gen tool, and then that's going to throw leads into the CRM, which you and I both know are a black hole, and you pray to God that your people get them out of the CRM. That's not what we want. We want to take care of the leads while they're on your website and sell an automobile. So we're going to talk about that today. We're not going to talk about it. We're going to show you videos of these actually on live websites and what these look like and how to set this up in your showroom. We're going to talk about pickup and delivery service. We're going to talk about remote test drives and deliveries. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I know these are going to vary by state, but you need to be aware of not only just saying that you're going to do it on the website, but how to execute in doing that. And Sarah's going to help us with that in just a second. So let's look at pickup and delivery. First of all, to set up pickup and delivery, let's just show you what we have done with our customers if we have immediately changed the call to actions on your website. Let me tell you this. Every flow, a digital retailing, you know, that we've called this experience, I guess, that it's been, does not start with a calculator. It starts with a conversation. Change, schedule home test drive, schedule service, pickup and drop off. So watch what happens. We have created AI flows. So once a customer puts this information in and then continues through your website, the information continues to stack as we build and strengthen that lead as we make that customer more comfortable. So let's continue to watch. Excuse me, I went one further. Let's see how this works. So we're going to click this. We're going to ask. Notice that we say due to COVID-19. Do not use coronavirus in any of your language, but COVID-19. People want to know several things. They want to know, number one, are you open? Number two, is it safe? What are you doing to make it safe for me to either come into your dealership or safe for me to allow you to pick up my car? And number three, are you available to sell and service my automobile? So as you see that, again, very quickly, as we go through the flow, the customer, this is all automated. We immediately take the customer's information and we can set up in-home delivery. Now, based on what I just said, we created these AI flows one leading into the other, taking over CTAs, and I'm going to show you a few others like Get E-Price, which, by the way, with every single OEM is the #1 push button in the country. Trade-in is a close second or third, depending on the statistic. But we created these about 9 months ago. We started with 9 dealerships. The data was staggering. We increased in those 9 dealerships the lead conversion by approximately 133%. Now, obviously, we have hundreds of dealers on these AI flows, and we have increased. That number has dropped, but it's still showing a 70% increase in lead conversion. Why that is so important, I had the privilege of speaking at the Brian Pash event in November, and Brian kindly asked to share that data, which we did. And then I also gave that data at the David Kane conference. Well, at the David Kane conference, Bob Lanham, who is the head of automotive, most of you know him, for Facebook. Bob actually, we started a conversation, lucky for both of us, I think, especially for us, our planes and our gates were side by side. Bob said this. Bob said, Tim, he said, Messenger is blowing up for us in Facebook, and we're really wanting to have dealers connect, because especially with watching ad spend, a dealer can, for $35 or $40, target 100 of their customers. It would be great if you could take those AI flows, roll them into a direct API integration with Xtime and AutoLoop and DealerFX and others with the service schedulers, to where a customer could seamlessly schedule an appointment through Facebook. So ladies and gentlemen, 30 days to the day of that, or excuse me, 90 days to the day, that was the 14th of November to the 14th of February, we launched this. I just want to give you a glimpse of what is here now for you. So as your ad spend is coming down, as you're moving things around, to be able to target your customers on Facebook to where they can still schedule service, let me show you what that looks like. We believe this, and actually we know this is unique to us, to where we can take all your targeted ads, your campaigns, your denied services, that kind, or declined services through the DMS, and make sure that we immediately, seamlessly, frictionlessly schedule that appointment. Bob also told me, he's like, it's funny, Tim, I was at a 20 group, and at the 20 group, I talked about Facebook Marketplace. And one GM stood up and said, Facebook Marketplace is horrible. And the other GM said, you need to sit down. We're closing it at 80%. And the only difference was one dealer was allowing those leads to be answered by his BDC and going into a CRM. The other one had a task force of 3 or 4 ladies and gentlemen that were answering them directly, and they were closing them at 80%. So again, a little commercial there that will help you. It's inexpensive and working very, very well as we go live with dealerships all around the country. Let's talk about remote test drives. How do you set up a remote test drive in delivery? So let me show you that. Again, we changed the CTAs. Do you want to schedule a home test drive? Now, you need to make sure, again, Sarah's going to talk about this in a second. This is all AI. So this, or you can have, if during operating hours, we do have some dealers that choose, they have a dedicated person that handles all of these, that schedules these test drives. You need to reassure, you're going to see it in a commercial, a 30-second spot here in just a bit, on how to communicate that with your customers. Again, make it easy, make it frictionless. People will respond. And this is just not what we think. This is what we know is working across the country. Now, more than ever, as people are spending more screen time at home than ever before. These are some things, if you want to take notes. In fact, we're gonna copy this, give you a copy of this video link so you can have, but these are some decisions you as leadership need to make. You need to make sure, obviously, that your people are safe, okay? Your people are safe. What steps are you going to take to set up these processes? When you do a remote test drive, is it going to be picked up at the dealership? Are you going to the customer's home? Are you going to let them drive alone? Depending on your PMA, depending on what's going on, you might not want to do that. You may want to do that. Again, up to you. Are you going to pick a neutral location? And do you have the ability to do a video test drive? All this technology is here for us, guys. And these are some decisions that we all need to make. Remote desking capabilities. As someone comes in, this is much more than just a payment calculator. You notice as this conversation is coming up, all those AI flows that I just went through are now in this conversation. I'm going to give you a stat that is not that is real. 54% of every single digital retailing session that we have has a conversation. Of that 54%, the ones that have conversation have a 32% higher close rate than any other conversation. You cannot look at a DR tool, throw a calculator, because most, you can't just throw a calculator on your website. You need to make sure that you have the ability to communicate and to desk the deal, get back to that customer, and engage that customer in purchasing that vehicle. Being able to communicate back and forth, being able to roll payments, and then seamlessly put your deal together. As we move on, remote trade appraisals. This is a big one. I want you to pay attention. As we go through, you're going to notice throughout the country, no matter what state you're in, if you look at your analytics, Get ePrice is probably number 1, and trade appraisal is probably number 2 or number 3, depending on your market. What I'm about to show you, because I don't want to slow the video down, is we have partnered with several trade partners. We're partnered with Trade Pending, Kelly Blue Book. We've got others coming. We've got Trade N Valet coming very soon. But being able to partner with trade companies and not only get the trade information, but ask them, do they want to set an appointment? So I want you to watch that. This is much more than just a trade appraisal. So watch this as this happens. Customer cuts in. Again, guys, this is the AI flow. This is all artificial intelligence seamlessly. By the way, if you set up your special forces team, you've got a lot of salespeople at home right now that can jump in on these because they can see this in real time. We've now given the customer the trade-in. Now, Mr. Customer, you were looking at this stock number. Are you interested in looking at it? Would you like to make an appointment? We seamlessly schedule the appointment all through intelligence. Guys, these types of flows are what we're seeing a 70% increase in lead conversion. Now you can see how seamless it is as we flow the customer from one to the other without any hesitation by them literally not really typing anything in other than their information, so we can establish that one-on-one communication. Let's briefly talk about remote F&I. This is something that you need to talk about. You know, when we presented this to several dealers, when we first launched our DR tool, several close dealers to me said, Tim, you're going to now take the closest, the only thing that's profitable in my store away. We have found that when you show F&I products earlier in the process, now, if any digital retailing tool is transparent with you, they're going to tell you 2 things. If they're truthful and they know the numbers, we know the numbers and we're going to be transparent with you. Most customers are not going through the entire process. It's not happening. Less than 3%. Just like most customers, you see, we added extended service contract and wheel and tire protection in this scenario to see it would change the payments. But what I will tell you is we are seeing a 24.2% increase in the back end of the store when F&I products are shown earlier in the process. There's general managers listening to this call. There's general sales managers, when you spiff your salespeople, when your finance managers show videos early in their process, it plants seeds earlier, which sets the tone to where they are going to buy products other than just hearing about the product the first time in the F&I office. So that's why, especially now, when some of you are not even allowed to go into the dealership, that we at least present 100% of the time F&I products to your customers. Virtual walkarounds. This is important. Now, this is our tool. I will show you this. Having the ability now more than ever, and by the way, You can do this with your mobile phone. So if you have access and you have done YouTube videos on your whole inventory, a VDP on your whole inventory, so on and so forth, you can send videos of the exact car to that customer. You can even do it in real time to where you walk around that particular car if you have the privilege of being at your dealership or if there's stored videos. A best practice here would be to have someone by themselves, obviously, walk around taking videos of your inventory, store that on your YouTube channel, and then give access to your team to be able to send these walk around videos, especially with used cars. You know, obviously, if you're a Toyota store, if you're an FCA dealership or whatever, you know, have one of each model. But especially with pre-owned, make sure that you have YouTube videos, just a best practice. Google says this. Sarah Fisher uses this all the time as well. I have to give her props. But Google says this: if you send a video, especially now, I bet it's even higher now, but Google says if you send a video to a customer, the customer is 63% more likely to go to the dealership that sent them the video. Ladies and gentlemen, people are spending more time at home now. And if you differentiate yourself by using video, you will absolutely differentiate your dealership and allow them to come in and buy from you. Content-based is now more important than ever, giving the dealer or giving the customer more than they ask for. You know, I would consider myself, I guess, an old soul in the car business, and I can still remember back in the 90s listening to those Grant Cardone tapes. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I did say tapes, but information overload. We can take new technology and still give customers, when you give customers more than they ask for, not a problem, Mr. Customer. Let me give you a 36, 48, 72-month option. Oh, by the way, I know you're looking. You don't need to go look at that competitive vehicle. Let me give you the stats right here in the comparisons. That type of interaction with a customer, as you can see here, immediately sets the tone and sets you apart from all of your competition. Now, when we get to marketing, I want to show you just a couple videos, and then I'm going to let Sarah go through just some bullet points on your execution plan. I'm going to show you two 30-second videos. Remember when I said we need to make sure you need to make decisions, and again, this changes, but if we can sell cars still in New York and dealers are still selling cars virtually, we can sell them in your state. So I want to show you the first one is a beautiful overview of, number one, are we open? Yes. Number two, are you going to do things to make, you know, am I going to be safe? And can I still buy and service my vehicle at your store? Please watch.
Everyone deserves a safe and reliable vehicle. If your vehicle's in need of service, Don Franklin is now providing pickup and delivery. Go to donfranklinauto.com, choose your day and time, and we will be there to help you every step of the way. We are Kentucky. We are Don Franklin.
For over 50 years, Don Franklin has been serving Kentucky with the convenience of 24 locations and over 5,000 vehicles to choose from. Now we're making it even easier with the Franklin Fast Pass. Find a vehicle, click on the Franklin Fast Pass, and start building your deal your way. Choose your payment, value your trade, and get approved, all within the comforts of, well, wherever you are. You can then either come to your Don Franklin dealership or we can deliver the vehicle to you. Franklin Fast Pass. Fast, easy, no obligation, conveniently located at donfranklinauto.com.
So at this time, I would like to welcome Sarah Fisher. Sarah was one of the first dealers. You know, we're blessed and we have approaching 4,100 dealers now. Sarah was one of the first. Several weeks ago, we spent hours and hours on the phone together as we've customized CTAs. That Fast Pass button was her idea, her brainchild. So we took the Fast Pass. You notice that you want to market, you know, your whatever your branding, quick buy or whatever it is. We can actually create that as your CTA, and she did that. But what I want to ask you first, Sarah, is your execution plan. You know, how vital was it, and how did, I mean, you have, ladies and gentlemen, Sarah has 23 stores, and some of them are rural stores in London and Somerset. et cetera. So can you kind of walk us through, because we have, there are going to be thousands and thousands of people listening to this podcast. Can you kind of walk them through how you kind of organized everybody and said, you know what, it's time to lead. This is our execution plan. Can you kind of walk us through that, please?
Sure. So, we got hit really hard the second week of March after having 2 good weeks. It was like that second week we found out that this was our current situation. And so we had to act fast and think of an execution plan for the group that would work for everyone, and to be able to act quickly because every day something else was changing. What we put together was service and sales have to come together. So, normally service and sales is kind of like church and state, but we were like, you know what? Service is going to be allowed to stay open because it's an essential. Sales at that point was like maybe not so much, right? So we were going to have our sales team work with service and be able to pick up for service. We were going to go pick up the vehicles for service. We can deliver vehicles for sales. So having the 2 houses work hand in hand together, because it was important to keep our service going, right? We didn't want people to start canceling, and that's what ended up happening. Some people were starting to cancel. So we were like, no, we're going to be able to pick up their vehicles. Let's work together. At NADA this past year, they found that, fixed ops accounts for an average of 65% gross profit for dealerships across our country. 65% gross profit is what that accounts for. So we were like, if we're going to keep this ship running, we've got to push service. We have to be able to accommodate service in a way that we can handle the quantity that comes in and do it for every single location. Because like Tim said, being in these rural areas, it's a little trickier because every single market is different and the needs in those areas are different. So it's working hand in hand. And then we had basically our execution plan came up with kind of like a timeline, right? Like schedule service, the sales managers have to review the appointments of the service appointments from the day before, because guys, think about it, our service line's still open. There's opportunities coming in every day with the vehicles that we're servicing. So if your sales managers are in tune with the vehicles that are being serviced that following day, you can look to see if there's equity in that vehicle, if it's time to upgrade that customer. And not that they came in here to buy a vehicle, but it takes a sales manager, a general to general, right, to say, hi, Mr. Smith, we understand, your vehicle's here for service, but it caught my eye because I really do need that trade. And then you offer like the 0% 84, whatever you have, whatever OEM you have under your rooftop, those incentives that they have out right now with the 90 days no payment, or even up to 120 days no payment. So there's opportunities for the sales managers and for the sales team to work. Our sales staff is still working. Some of them are working from home. They're still answering leads. With how we have things set up in VIN, our BDC, they're working from home, taking leads and calls that way as well. It's just important to get all of those things working hand in hand during this entire time. And the commercials that we put together, the Fast Pass, we white labeled that's just the Build My Deal. We white labeled our digital, the buy now piece of our digital retailing, and pushing that to get out there, because that's important. And if you all are going to create a commercial or create a video, it's important to show consumers what you want them to do, which is why like the Fast Pass video was very directive of how it works on our website. You do this, you go here, this is how you do this process, right? That way they're familiar with it when they go to your website. And then the service side of it, obviously, like we want to show people that we're doing all the CDC recommendations. We're treating their vehicle with white gloves and making sure that everything comes back to them right on point. And in that vehicle too, I wanted people to know, if we do pick up your vehicle, then you're going to know that it is a Don Franklin employee by sending that customer a text picture, and it's super easy. I mean, like you can take a picture of any of your sales people, or they probably already have sales pictures available. To be able to send out to the customer. But that's a security thing too, that's going to make people feel safe and know that you are who you say you are when you get there. It helps with a lot of cancellations too. Like if people don't want to come to the show, sit in the waiting room or drop off their vehicle, you can go and pick it up. So that's been huge. And guys, since we started running this commercial, I mean, we're running 85% capacity on average across every single store, which is big for right now. And, you know, we're still selling vehicles. Yesterday we sold 50, and that's online. That's online retail sales. 50 vehicles on the last day of the month during this time, and we're in Kentucky. To me, I feel like these tools that we're talking about today, having the execution plan, having service and sales work together, because you have the same goal in mind, and just taking advantage of those opportunities that come through, like any which way you can. I mean, right now we all have to get creative, and we all have to look at things in a different light. And, you know, digital retailing with Carvana, how Carvana got introduced to our market, you know, we've all been like, what is this? What are they doing? You know, but we have the same capability that Carvana has. And they can't, you know, like with this tool, we're able to accomplish the exact same thing. So I don't know if I got too much into it, but I will say, like, searches are high right now. Like he was saying, like, leads are still coming in. Our Google Analytics, just year over year, if you're looking at March, and last March was our biggest. That was one of the record-breaking months for us last year. But our traffic to our sites, our engagement is up 20 to 40%, which is huge. People are shopping right now. People are online researching right now. So it's important to stay in front of them. It's important to get your message out there, you know, and doing it on all platforms. Like, we have a marketing execution plan, you know, to have this on broadcast television. We post on social media. We have it in our emails. You know, it's all cohesive, and it's all consistent, because the more consistent you are, the higher your frequency.
Thank you, Sarah. Just very well done. It's one thing for me to talk about it. It's another thing for our actual dealers to talk about it. And as we launch these Tim Talks every Tuesday at 2:00, please sign up for next week. We want to bring dealers on. We want to talk to dealers about not just what we think, but what is actually working. And really, you know, Sarah thought out of the box. And another person, Jared Kilway, from Germain, he put together, this top left, you know, his managers, they're in one particular store, could not come into the store. So we put this custom CTA on his website that just said, hey, look, do you want to talk directly to a manager? Start a chat. So it's not, I hope that you can see clearly, this isn't about calculators. It's about conversations. It's about communicating with your customer, especially now that you've got them and that you're here to serve them. In fact, we're going to have, Jared is very bright. We're going to have him on in a couple of weeks to unpack Facebook and some of the things that he's doing marketing there. So please tune in for that. So with that being said, as we continue on, as we land the plane, again, customize, no matter who your chat partner or DR partner, whoever that is, make sure that you change your CTAs so your people feel comfortable. Schedule in-home test drive. In fact, I had a dealer say, hey, I've got so much service. My service hasn't really gone down a lot. Can you change this to schedule my service recall? So whatever that is, we can plan and we can direct and customize for you, our dealer. So very good stuff here. Again, we're going to talk about COVID-19, some of these all these workflows within our AI tool. Do not call it coronavirus, and so on and so forth. So I want to land the plane right here. I want you to stare at this for just a second. Everything that we talked about requires buy-in from leadership. I know that most, in fact, all of you on this call are a leader in one way, shape, or form. Most of your success, again, you can throw a widget, a calculator, you could close your eyes and pick any, including us, pick any of them. But if you're not going to be committed to developing your process, like Sarah did very early on, and say, this is our execution plan, this is exactly what we're going to do, you're not going to fare as well. You know, I've read, I'm a student of John Maxwell. I love all of his books on leadership. I try to get better today more than yesterday And, you know, he says this. He says that all great companies that I talk to, whether it be IBM, Apple, or so on, they have leadership that says, you know what, I want to make a difference. Number two, with people that make a difference. Ladies and gentlemen, your people are looking to you right now to make a difference. Number three, at a time that makes a difference. Ladies and gentlemen, there's never been a greater time than it is right now for leaders to step up all over this business that's been so good to all of us. That time is now. It's time for us to step up. And I do want to encourage you a little bit today. You know, you think about all this stuff. You think about, oh my gosh, you know, it's almost like trying to remember a golf swing. Okay, I got to keep my elbow in. I got to keep my foot here. Okay, I've got to do remote service. I've got to do this. I got to do this. I want to encourage you today with 3 words that'll help everything. 3 words that I heard from the same John Maxwell about 15 years ago that changed my life. He said, listen, I'm ADD, I'm 900 miles an hour, and most of us car guys and girls are. But we can't worry about what happened yesterday. We can't worry about what's on the news. We're not promised. We have no idea what's going to change tomorrow. But these 3 words, just for today. So I want to encourage you, just for today, dominate your dealership. Just for today, be the leader that you need to be, and have your people, what do people say when you leave the room and when you walk into the room? Be that kind of leader. You've got to make some possibility. You've got to make sure that now's the time that you upgrade your hardware. Now's the time that you make sure that you have a portable tablet, smartphone, and with data, with Wi-Fi and data to where you can be mobile. These are some of the things that you need to make sure to be successful. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. As you see on the screen, this is my direct contact. As you can imagine, we have been very busy, but we at CarNow, and I'm sure other companies, I know other companies because I've been talking to a lot of them, are here right now more than ever to serve you, our dealer partners. We truly appreciate you. We thank you for the privilege of being able to communicate with you. Make sure that you do register for next week's talk as we get better together. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.